Betrayal. We thought we were safe from the cataclysm across the sea. But our ambitious neighbor has joined the overseas aggressors in a desperate grab for our beloved land. We shall not falter. We must not yield. For every inch, we will fight. This is not a battle for territory. This is a trial for the very soul of South America.
Welcome to Brazil. In the year of 1936, Getúlio Vargas is ruling the nation for 6 years. But don't be fooled by this smiley face. He is a tyrant, the worst president in the history of this country. All the political and socio-economic scourges that hold this country back to this day were made by this man. Of course, modern day Brazil is very different from the times of the independence, but the Brazil we know today was shaped by Vargas. And removing him from power is our first priority. Vargas is the greatest threat to Brazilian democracy. With his lust for power and ambition, he is close to suspending all the rights we have fought so hard to defend. Those who value freedom must oppose the state of emergency while they still can. The state of emergency was declared in 1935 after an attempted coup by the communists, and Vargas is using the situation to concentrate more power and transform the country into a dictatorship. We have seen this story many times, but the real-life dictatorship will only be consolidated in 1937, 1 year from now. Right now we can reverse the situation and overthrow the usurper. With the opposition still remaining, we block the state of emergency. But we still need to repeal the national security laws, which Vargas used in his attempt to build a dictatorship. And here I criticize the DLC, because it would take much more than that to overthrow Vargas. Let's talk about the cangaço. For decades, the northeast of Brazil was infested by bandits. With instability in the capital and politicians little concerned with public safety, these criminals spread terror wherever they go. We will deal with them in time. And finally, Vargas' laws were revoked, and the dictator was deposed. Now we can focus in what really matters, the coffee crisis. The Great Depression ruined the Brazilian economy because of its dependence on coffee exports. Let's reinvigorate our industries to start solving this. And now let's deal with the cangaço once and for all. With the capital kinda in order, let's carry out federal operations to contain these bandits, starting in Bahia. And now we must decide what to do next, greater federalism or promote centralization. Problems like the cangaço are the result of centralization of power. We have to break up this political nucleus in Rio de Janeiro and take power back to the states to govern themselves. And in the end of August, the first federal operation against the cangaço was a success. 1 down, 4 more to go. With politics and public safety returning to normal, we can focus on the economy. A Companhia Siderúrgica Nacional, better yet, the National Steelworks Company, which is still to this day the largest steel company in South America. In the arrival of 1937, more operations against the cangaço were completed, and the Hindenburg incident, where a fuel leak from the airship was discovered before the takeoff, and a catastrophe was avoided. A close call. And then, in the middle of the year, the cangaceiro Lampião, the most famous criminal of the cangaço, was killed in a shootout in Pernambuco. Although there are still smaller groups, this event marks the end of the large operations against the cangaço. Furthermore, the interim president Armando de Salles was focusing on opening the economy and reopening the political debate, and the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro was founded. I mean, it was founded in 1920, so let's pretend this is a new federal investment package for it. In the meantime, we invested even more in industry and infrastructure. To this day, Brazil is a country with an infrastructure and economy of the past century. Modernization must be a priority. In the 1938 elections, we had 4 important candidates, and amongst them there was Lindolfo Collor. So, since this guy is the grandfather of Fernando Collor, the first elected president of the 6th Brazilian Republic, I'm going to choose Lindolfo Collor, just for fun. One way or another, there will be one Collor in the presidency. And now I present you the Bank of Brazil. The oldest bank in the country is a paramount foundation for the Brazilian economy. And in-game it gives a minus 15% consumer goods factor, which is also very good. And more news from Europe, the fate of Czechoslovakia. So much for peace. A storm is forming in the horizon, and perhaps we might be caught in it. But even now there is still time to do some things, like promoting the immigration. Brazil is a diverse nation, with descendants of immigrants from all over the world. With the rebirth of the economy, it is time to encourage more people to come here and become Brazilians themselves. You are going to Brazil. Finally, the Brazilian Intelligence Agency has been created. But here there is a problem with the DLC, because the game won't let me put a espionage advisor other than Aldo Benário. In other words, to have an espionage advisor, you have to become communist, no other ideology. And like we say in Brazil, this is paia. Finally, the new immigration program is in effect. What this does is increase manpower in 3 specific states. First, we will promote Japanese immigration to Bahia. To further improve the economy, we will invite foreign companies, starting with the Americans. Until finally, on August 31, Poland rejected the German ultimatum. The Reich's ambitions has finally reached the point of no return. Let the apocalypse begin. In the meantime, we will invite North American Aviation to lay the foundation stone for the Brazilian Air Force. They will produce our first airplanes. With the Germans wreaking havoc in Europe, President Collor knew exactly what to do: confront the international crisis. The world has become increasingly unstable with tensions between powers. We must act carefully, but also align ourselves with other democratic nations for our mutual security. Of course, the bad thing must be stopped, but we are not yet ready for a total war. Let's take one step at a time.
As ordens!
With the focus completed and the arrival of 1940, we can send a small force to help the Allies. And I'll send our lead troops, the Monarch divisions. So life is made of tests, and I never used this template before. Let's see if it works. But brother, this Graveyard of Empires DLC really messed up the game. Look at that. It is up to the Brazilian Expeditionary Force to contain the Iraqi threat. Ademar, we are going to the Middle East. And after a few weeks of travel, the Monarch divisions arrived. We will finally have the first fight of the playthrough. With the speed of the Monarchs, we can flank the Iraqis and reverse their advance. Enemy reinforcements arrived from Italy, but the combined attack of the Allies has defeated Iraq. Now we only have to destroy these pockets of Italians and this sector will be secure. Meanwhile, the city of Paris has fallen and France capitulated. The German Blitzkrieg has swept across Europe like a steamroller. All we can do now is contain the Axis offensive. After the Iraq situation was contained, we moved the Monarch divisions into Egypt. Fortunately, we arrived in time to contain the Italians in El Alamein, but we can't launch a counteroffensive. So for now, the order of the day is to hold the ground. Meanwhile, I present you the Tucano, the first 100% native military aircraft, a close air support plane that will help the Monarchs in ground combat, produced by the North American Aviation. But that will take a few months for us to have squadrons of this aircraft operating, so for now, we will continue to hold the ground. A few moments later, it was the turn of the Swedish companies. So Saab is manufacturing the current fighters of Brazil, the Gripen. Of course, we are going to do this here too. And these decisions are good because they spawn military factors almost for free. Now sorry, North American Aviation, I don't wanna play with you anymore. Anyway, with the Tucanos operating in Alexandria Air Base and the Monarchs accumulating more combat experience, the commander of the Expeditionary Force felt it was time to attack. We attacked with everything, together with the British. The Italians are no match for the firepower of the Monarchs. But wait a minute. Let the British solve this. After breaking the front line, the Monarchs ran across the desert until Tobruk, where the Italians had set up a defensive line, but they lacked organization and equipment to resist, and the city was taken, which was very important for our logistics. With this new supply hub, the Monarchs can advance into Libya, which was Italian territory. A large pocket in Benghazi turned into a huge loss for the Italians, and now there is only sand between us and Tripoli, which was conquered in October 1940. And so the Monarch divisions conquered Libya. And after some more time cleaning up the spots on the map, all the Italian possessions in North Africa were destroyed. We did a lot of damage to the enemy. And now we must clean up the Horn of Africa. Isolated and outnumbered, the Italian troops here were easy prey. In just a few weeks, we liberated Ethiopia. Until... Eita! Argentina joined the Axis. Our ambitious neighbor has joined the overseas aggressors. Ademar, we must go to Argentina. A new year, a new front, and we cannot tolerate the bad thing in South America. It is time to act against the danger and protect the continent from this vile ideology. The next 2 months were spent in extensive preparation. Mascarenhas de Moraes and Dutra will lead the invasion, and then on April 10, 1941, the war was declared. All troops advanced through the province of Corrientes. With this bellicose movement, Prime Minister Churchill officially invited us to join the Allies, and President Collor accepted. Now, Brazil is in the middle of the global war, and to protect the dive bombers, I present you the Gripen, courtesy of Saab, because now we are facing wave resistance. The advance was slowed down by the Argentine resistance, but in the arrival of the Monarch divisions from Africa, we can advance again. The Monarchs crossed the Rio de la Plata, but the resistance in Buenos Aires will be difficult. This is going to be a very long campaign. What complicates things even more is the arrival of reinforcements from the Axis. Troops from Romania and Bulgaria have come to reinforce the enemy lines. But from Europe, a very important news arrived. Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in history. Germany has broken the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Trust between giants is a fragile thing. A direct assault in Buenos Aires will be impossible, so we will go around the city from the southeast and then attack, which is not difficult work for the Monarchs. A flat terrain like this is perfect for bikes. Despite the fierce enemy resistance, the siege is closed. The Axis reinforcements have taken refuge in Buenos Aires, and with the Brazilian attacks from all directions, the city was taken and all the Axis troops were eliminated. We are doing a lot of damage in the Axis. But now comes the hard part, advancing into the mountains. The Argentine government has taken refuge in the Andes, and to accomplish this new task, we have to deploy the Smoking Snakes, the Brazilian Mountaineer divisions. But it will take time until we can prepare a new attack. I'll have to build a new supply hub just to supply the troops, so we will meet in a few months.
Many months later.
It's October 1941. A new supply hub has been built, more divisions trained, more planes produced. Now, after months of stalemate, the lines of Tucumán have been broken. Now you only have to go to the end of the world, in Patagonia. But with the fall of the main cities, the Argentines... No. Wait, what? Paraguay in the Axis? What the hell? I didn't put this in the rules, only Argentina. Anyway, so let's train more National Guard brigades. Thank goodness the Allies sent divisions to help us, otherwise there will be huge problems now. Now it's a matter of time. Argentina is almost capitulating, and we already entering Paraguayan territory. I really don't know what crazy thing they did, but now the scare is over, and we can focus on Argentina again. It wasn't until January 1942 that Argentina capitulated and its ambitions were silenced. Only the pockets of the Axis remained, which were destroyed one by one, and now all of the Axis presence in South America has been eliminated. I mean, there is still Tierra del Fuego, but I don't care. What matters now is the trial of allegiance of South America is done. From now on, there is only Totalen Krieg. And while I was moving my divisions back to Europe, the Anglo-Soviet invasion of Iran. A new DLC event, I suppose. Boy, this DLC is really breaking the game, because Iran and Iraq always join the Axis. So, one more decision to make, regarding the specialization of heavy weapons. Let's follow the meta, attack and defense for artillery. Many have said that it would be easier for a snake to smoke than for Brazil to fight in the front lines. History is irony. If that's the case, then the smoky snake should be the symbol of honor of the Brazilian soldiers. The nice thing is that this focus spawns 4,000 infantry equipment. Nice! So, with the entire army in Libya, we prepared a major naval invasion in Sicily. The intelligence is fully infiltrated in Italy, and report says it will be easy. The Monarchs will invade from 2 directions, Palermo and Syracuse, led by General Dutra. And there it goes. This will be easy. Behold the might of the Cobras Fumantes. Finally, the Monarchs landed, with the only resistance in Palermo. The entire island fell very quickly. I am sure that the immense number of casualties we inflicted on them in Africa must have destroyed most of the Italian divisions. They couldn't even defend the strait on the mainland, and once here, with the main army landed, The road to Rome is open. All the 45 divisions were sent to the front line, and only now the Axis response has arrived, on the outskirts of Naples. The easy part is over. Now we will fight for every Italian city. But the real problem is the air war. My shitty allies didn't break their plans. It's just my humble air force against the Luftwaffe and the rest of the Axis. This requires new equipment. I present you the Super Tucano, with 3 bomb slots. We can only advance because of the air support. Without it, it's impossible. And the Italians brought the man, the legend, Giovanni Messi to the front. Giovanni Messi versus Mascarenhas de Moraes. Our battle will be legendary. The mountains around Rome are hell to pass. The only solution is to wait for more planes to apply more pressure.
In their advance towards the north, where Mussolini is still in control, the American, British, Canadian and French armies are held up by the solid German defense belt along the Gustav Line in the area of Monte Cassino.
And now we have the 1942 elections, and I'm going to choose Anísio Teixeira, just so you can see the other portraits of the leaders of Brazil. But the Axis really entrenched itself in the mountains. To our airmen, I say, Senta Pua! To break this stalemate, we need new tools. Let's meet the first tank 100% Brazilian, Osório. It's not the best design, but that's what you can do. The year of 1942 is over, and we're still in the stalemate. At least the British invaded Sardinia, which puts even more pressure in the Italians. And it's only now, in February 1943, we didn't even need to get to Rome. Benito Mussolini was deposed, in an unexpected move by the members of the Italian government. Splendid! The end of the Axis was still far away, but it was on the horizon. In the arrival of more planes and the news of Mussolini being deposed, the order to attack was given, and all units advanced in full force. And then, on March 17, 1943, the city of Rome fell. The first capital of an Axis country is in the hands of the Allies. And this immediately started a civil war, which was great news for us. The new Italian Allied government formally requested the transfer of territory occupied by us, which was accepted. This series of events greatly weakened the Italian Social Republic, unable to contain our advance. So much so that the Allies launched another invasion in southern France. In April 1943, our first armored division was ready, and it immediately went to the front. Halfway through the year, it became clear that the Axis days were running out. We are entering France, and the Allies launched another naval invasion in the Netherlands, and the Soviets are striking hard. Our job in Italy is done. A massive redeployment was made. The entire army was sent to France and was immediately on the attack. The fields of France are much easier to cross than the Alps, especially for the Monarchs. In a matter of days, we reached the Atlantic. The Germans simply did not have the numbers to secure the entire front. In just 2 weeks, the Monarchs reached Paris. Just imagine cycling from the French Alps to Paris in just 2 weeks. And it's now confirmed that Paris, the French capital, has been liberated from German occupation. Allied forces entered the city, and the rest of the German garrison surrendered. Parisians were seen in the streets celebrating their liberators, who paraded at the Arc of Triomphe.
What kind of pep talk was that? You want inspiration, Private? Read a poem.
Canadian and American reinforcements arrive to help seal the Falaise Gap and close off any route of escape for the retreating German soldiers. Four days later, Allied forces liberate Paris, bringing an end to the Battle of Normandy.
With the combined efforts of the Allies, all of France was liberated. Now, there is only one place to go, Ademar: Berlin. Actually, there is not much to say about the German campaign. After years of war and terrible casualties, the Reich no longer could stop the Allies and the Soviets, until finally the capital of the totalitarian regime, Berlin, finally fell. It feels strange, the calm after the storm. Let's see the fruits of victory. I've seen worse. Since Argentina and Paraguay joined the Allies, we have rights over them. I took territories from both of them and made them into puppets. It's funny how Italy continues to be my puppet. And also the coolest part, I stole the Bismarck. Now we do have a powerful navy. There are some weird things on this map, but I have seen much worse. However, we are still at war with Japan. The World War is not over yet. Ademar, we are going to Japan. To celebrate the Allied victory in Europe, we are going to establish a new capital. But honestly, that doesn't make any sense at all. In real life, Brasilia took 4 years to build, and in Hoi 4 it takes 30 days. This Hoi 4 logic is magnificent. Anyway, in January 1st, 1944, a new year, a new front. Our army arrived in Indochina, and after a brief preparation, the attacks began. By this time, the Japanese were exhausted and in no condition to resist. In just 20 days, our divisions entered Bangkok, the capital of the Kingdom of Siam, and they quickly capitulated, leaving disorganized the Japanese forces in the region. In March, we conquered Saigon, effectively surrounding them all. And finally, the entire Indochina was also liberated. The next stop was the liberation of the Philippines, which was even easier. The Japanese were really exhausted, in no condition to defend whatsoever. So, wait a minute. Spain? Is Spain in the Japanese faction? Are you crazy, Franco? The man simply goes to war with 2/3 of the world. The Allies will take care of Spain. Let's focus on Japan. Finally, in June 1944, the Americans landed in Nagasaki, starting the invasion of the main islands of Japan. And we're going to send all units over there. That is the only way to end this damn war. And in August 1944, the Brazilian 2nd Armored Division entered the city of Tokyo. The commander reported heavy resistance from the Imperial Guard at the Emperor's Palace, but he evacuated before the assault began. With the fall of Tokyo, organized resistance in Japan is about to collapse. Now it is really only a matter of time before the end. And then finally, the peace conference. Unfortunately, they already sunk the Yamato. I won't be able to have both in my collection, but I'll get the Spanish colonies. Anyways, peace. After 5 years of war, the World War II is over. And since we are at the end, I'll make the focus of the United States of South America, the path where you can annex the entire continent. Honestly, I don't like it. And also, we are going to create NATO in 1944, with Brazil as a founding member. Thinking about it, since it's basically the entire Atlantic, instead of NATO it should be just A2. And this is where I finished this video. This is the first time I made a video of an entire playthrough, from beginning to end. And this video is dedicated to all the 25,834 Brazilians who went to fight in Europe against the Axis and totalitarianism. Men who left the safety of their country to fight in a foreign land, far from home. And I really can't think of a better way to end this video than playing the following audio. Thank you very much for watching.